Hello everyone, Steve here, back again with another tabletop baseball video. Thanks for tuning in. Today I am going to be doing a review of a new baseball card based baseball game. It's called Baseball Card GM. I was provided with a copy and agreed to do a review of it. And so with that, we'll get started. So this is the obligatory page that I always have in my videos. I'll just start right now by saying if you look, there's a link to the website where you can learn more about Baseball Card GM and even buy it. I think the current price is $35. And you can also contact the creators of the game using the email address that you see on the screen. The game itself comes with a rather large playmat. We'll talk about that. A sheet of rules, 2 six-sided dice, and 4 game markers. And then, as indicated, it's recommended for ages 7 and above. It's really designed as a 2-player game, although it wouldn't have to be. And they say that you can do a 9-inning game in about 30 minutes. The whole premise of this game is that you can use it with baseball cards and the stats on the back of baseball cards. And as indicated here, it's best if you have modern baseball cards, and you'll see why in a minute. As always, open to comments on my videos. You can like them as well. If you don't like them, you can comment as well. That's better than the thumbs down. And you can always contact me at the email address shown here, or you can subscribe to my channel as well. So there's a family named the Weavers, and here you see the father and 2 sons, and they're baseball fans and baseball card fans. And purportedly, at the urging of the one son, they came up with this baseball game that uses baseball cards. And you can see there's an early version of the game laid out here on their dining room table. And they worked on the game for a year or so, and now it's ready for prime time. So what do you need to play? Well, the main thing is you need a stack of baseball cards, and particularly it works best if you have cards that have these fields, data fields on them. So for batters, it's hits, doubles, triples, home runs, and RBIs, walks and strikeouts, and batting average. And then optionally, the stolen bases can be useful when it comes to certain base runner advancement situations. You might be able to get away with playing the game if it didn't have walks and strikeouts on the card. It might not play quite as well, but I think you could get away with it. All the rest of the stats, I think, are on most of the cards going back even decades. This is an example of a pitcher card. We'll talk about how pitchers can be involved in the game here in a minute. But what you need is walks, saves, and ERA, ideally, to incorporate pitchers into the game. So the game comes with a big play mat or game board. I don't know what the right terminology is, but the game board is like an oversized mouse pad. Is it neoprene? I don't have the right terminology. I apologize. But what you do is you lay out your starting lineup in front of you horizontally, and then you can see where the 2 young men are at the moment. They're pointing at the game engine, which we're going to talk about in a second. Oh, and I might have said, but the game board is quite large. It's 18 by 36 inches. So you're going to want to lay it out on your dining room table. And there's 2 sides to it. So each side, home and visitors, can lay out their lineup, and then there's some space in the middle where you can put your bullpen and bench players. So here's the game engine. It's driven by two six-sided dice, which are provided. And I'll explain how this is laid out. It's actually laid out quite logically. But you can see the columns are the stats from the batter's baseball card: RBIs, hits, walks, batting average, doubles, triples, home runs. And then each of the 21 cells in this table is a dice roll. And the best way to think about this dice roll is if you read the dice from low to high, there are 21 different combinations. And they also start on the right and work their way left. So the upper right is the 1-1 roll, and the lower left is the 6-6 roll. So when you roll the dice, it should be fairly easy to find where it is on the pad, which result you need to read. And then within each cell, there are thresholds, and I've kind of blanked them out here because I don't want to give away the secret to the game. But in the case of 1-1, if a person has a certain number of home runs or less, a certain number of home runs or less, then it's a single. But if it's more than a certain number, greater than or equal to a certain number of home runs, then a 1-1 result is a home run. And that's the way it works all the way around. Now, in some cells like 2-5 under walks, that's going to be a walk no matter what. But in 2-6, which would be a case where somebody has even more walks on his baseball card, if the number of walks exceeds the higher threshold, it's a walk. But if it doesn't, then it's a pop out. So you have about 6 or 7 basic results within these cells. There's a single, double, triple, home run. There's a walk and a strikeout, so we're already up to 6, I guess. And then there's a ground out, fly out, and pop out. And so maybe you're up to 9, I guess. So that's how it works. And then in terms of what happens with the base runners, in the lower left of this screen, you can see what happens with ground outs, pop outs, and fly outs. And they're pretty basic, but that's okay. That's the nature of this game. And then there's some extra on base or base runner advancement if either there are 2 outs, or if the guy is a speedster and they have 10 or more stolen bases, then they might go, say, from first to third on a single, or first at home on a double, what have you. So that's basically it. And in the yellow box, I kind of describe what I just said about the thresholds. And the higher, if you're at or above the certain threshold, that usually means it's better for the batter. Now, I did mention that pitching can optionally be involved. And so if the pitcher on the mound has a ERA of 2.25 or less, or 16 or more wins, or 36 or more saves, then you can apply adjustments to the thresholds. And not only that, but the adjustments vary based on the platoon matchups, the left versus right matchups. And so obviously, if it's left versus left or right versus right, the adjustments are going to be higher, which means the thresholds are higher, which means it's harder for the batter to achieve the good result. So it's kind of clever implementation of pitching if you choose to use pitching in the game. So just a quick discussion of the dice probabilities. I think we all know that with two six-sided dice, there are 36 unique chances. I've built the table here the way the dice are read from low to high. So you start with 1-1 at the top and work your way down. Now, anytime there are doubles like 1-1 or 2-2, that's only one chance out of 36, or just about 2.8% likelihood of that roll coming up. But the rest of them are each 5.6% chance of occurring. And presumably all those probabilities have been built into this table. But just be aware, like for example, on the home run column, the 1-2 occurs twice as often as the 1-1. And you can see, again, it's just another presentation of how the results are stratified. The other thing I was going to say is, in the case of RBIs, the only real differentiation for RBIs is whether or not it's a ground out or a fly out. And I presume what that does is it gives a higher probability for a sacrifice fly or other base runner advancement. So that's kind of all that I was going to mention there. If you look at the doubles column, 1-5 is always a double regardless of the threshold, but 1-6 is going to be a single if you're below the threshold, and a double if you're at or above the threshold. So yeah, that's the game. Not much more complicated than that. I think the key for this game, more than anything else, is that it's a great introduction to baseball sims, especially for young people. And we talk a lot about in this hobby, what's the future of this hobby, and is it going to die when we all die? And I think if you kind of view a sim like this, which has a decent amount of sophistication to it, as a good gateway, if you will. I hate to say gateway drug, but a good gateway into the tabletop gaming world, then I think this is well worth having, especially if you have children or preteens or what have you, or grandchildren or grandsons, granddaughters. This is a well-produced, attractive way to get people interested and involved. I think from the recap that I've done, you'll agree that it's easy to play. It combines two passions. So young baseball fans likely have a passion for baseball cards, and hopefully will have a passion for baseball games. Players are differentiated by their abilities to a certain degree. The game also has a draft feature, a lot of suggestions on how you can draft your teams and basically let you be a general manager. And this is an interesting way for people to look at baseball cards and see which ones might perform the best in the game. I would say what you really want to have at a minimum is people who played pretty much the full season, because a lot of these thresholds are based on nominal amounts. In other words, like number of home runs, number of strikeouts, number of walks, number of RBIs, etc. The only real rate stat is the batting average. I will say this is not the same as a full-featured baseball sim. So I think it would be fun to play, but you're not going to replay the 1969 Mets, or the 2025 Dodgers or whoever, and expect the same results that you would get with a different sim. I did build a quick little simulation spreadsheet in Excel. that shows without any involvement by a pitcher what the expected results would be. I guess I would say, um, what I've already said. It's not going to exactly replicate the stats of the players, but I think it's going to give you the look and feel of baseball, and will definitely appeal to the young baseball fans in your family. Maybe as a parting remark, the game engine is remarkably like another game engine that I've analyzed in the past, although not on my channel, and it's called The Game of Dice Baseball, and it's by Brian Hefferkamp, and it's the Clark and Addison Gaming Company. And so, if the concept of this game engine is of interest, and you'd like to apply it, in a I guess a more in-depth sim environment, you can check it out. Hopefully this has been helpful. Feel free to reach out to the designer in the email I provided at the beginning. Thanks as always for listening. And again, if you have youngsters in your family, give this game a try. Thank you.